When people imagine the fall of Rome, they usually picture the same scenes: barbarians marching toward the city, legions shattered and scattered, emperors poisoned. But an empire doesn't collapse only because of enemies from the outside. The real downfall begins within. And one of the quietest yet greatest causes of that collapse is money. Rome didn't fall because of invasions. It fell because it lost trust in its own currency. And in that story there are some very clear lessons for our world today. For centuries, Rome's economy ran on a silver coin called the denarius. It was first minted in 211 BC and was almost pure silver. Soldiers were paid in solid silver and merchants accepted nothing less. Money wasn't just metal. It was trust itself. Rome was strong because its money was trusted. As long as people believed in Rome, they believed in its coin. But as the empire grew, so did its expenses. Armies fought bigger wars. When taxes weren't enough, emperors turned to an easier way out. They began reducing the silver content in coins. From the outside, the coins looked the same, but their value was falling. In Augustus's time, the denarius was almost pure silver. By the time of Caracalla, its silver content had been cut in half. Under Gallienus, only traces of silver remained. A thin silver coating was laid over a bronze core. People noticed. The color and the weight of the coins changed. Trust began to vanish. Prices soared, soldiers demanded higher pay, merchants refused to trade, and farmers abandoned their land, saying, "This money buys me nothing." Rome lost faith in its own creation, its money. Eventually, this turned into a crisis. Within 50 years, Rome drowned in chaos. Beneath all that disorder lay a broken economy. Money had lost its meaning. Emperor Diocletian thought he had a fix. In 301 AD, he issued an edict setting maximum prices, from a loaf of bread to a farmer's daily wage. But it didn't work. Because when money loses value, no law can save it. The result: a booming black market and people returning to barter. In the end, Rome abandoned the denarius entirely. Constantine introduced a new gold coin, the solidus, pure and stable. That system survived for centuries in Byzantium. But for the Western Empire, it was already too late. The collapse of its money had drained the empire's confidence. So what's the lesson here? When money loses its value, empires fall. Rome thought it could fool its people by making the same coins with less silver. Today, governments do the same thing. They print, they borrow, they manipulate interest rates. But the outcome is always the same. The people lose and trust disappears. This isn't just Rome's story. The same thing happened in 20th century Germany. After World War I, the government printed money to pay its debts. The result? Hyperinflation. The price of bread could rise tenfold in a single day, and people carried their salaries in wheelbarrows. Retirees starved. That economic ruin opened the door for someone like Hitler to rise. The same story played out again in Zimbabwe. In the 2000s, the government printed money to cover its debts, but eventually it became worthless. People started trading in US dollars. The state tried to cheat reality, but it was the people who paid the price. Now let's come closer to America. In 1971, the dollar completely broke its link to gold. From that day on, money was based only on the promise of the government. And from that day on, the dollar's purchasing power began to die. What $1 could buy in 1971 now costs $6. The bills look the same, but they're not worth the same. Governments call it progress. But in truth, they're quietly stealing from money, from wages, from savings. The difference today is this: it's no longer the story of one country. It's the story of the whole world. The entire global system now runs on fiat money, paper with no real value, only trust. And when that trust fades, just like in Rome, the system collapses. So there are three lessons to take from this story. Inflation isn't a mistake. It's a choice. It's the government's silent tax. Real wealth isn't in paper. It's in the real world. In land, in skill, in production. Nothing lasts forever. The Romans never believed their money would become worthless. Neither did the Germans or the Zimbabweans. But they all met the same end. Rome's fall was slow, then all at once, because money without trust is just metal or paper. When trust dies, trade ends, armies crumble, governments lose legitimacy. And when that happens, it's not the barbarians at the gates. It's the mistakes in the treasury that bring empires down. History may not repeat itself exactly, but if you fail to understand it, it will crush you. Rome's currency crisis never truly ended, it just changed form. And if this story gave you a new way to see things, remember, history is still speaking to us. You just have to know how to listen.